I recently purchased this layout. The idea was to fix it up and donate it to my model railroad club. It came pretty much as you see it here. I had some wiring to fix, some turnouts to replace. The ballasting that was done on it was done very well, and I'm very pleased with it. I just needed to patch it in a few places. But now it's ready to dress with ground cover. And I thought that to make it even more interesting, I would put a mountain in the center. That way we'd have some tunnels when the club shows this layout at our annual exposition. The kids always want to see tunnels. They really love tunnels. So to make them happy, I'm going to build a mountain, and I thought you might like to see how I do that. You'll notice that I've already masked the side of the ramp going up. Of course, the ramp just has several feet below it holding up the sub-base. But I have covered the sides. I'd already done this because I used that to help when I was patching the ballast. The masking was up higher, and then I just cut it down to the side. And this will be either a rock face, or perhaps I'll use some plastic formed sheets of brick or masonry of some sort. But we will get to that much later. First, we have to build our tunnel portals. The first consideration for your mountain is how high it's going to be. I don't know if you noticed, but this area up in here, the whole layout folds up into it. So the depth in here is going to dictate how high the mountain is going to be. And I have figured that the highest my mountain is going to be will be a total of 8 inches from here. This level, elevated level, is 2 inches, 6 inches more, and the base adds 2 more inches that go up in here. I have 11.5, so if my mountain is a total of 10 inches high from the base of the layout, then this area will clear and it can fold up without damaging anything. The next thing I have to decide is where it's going to be, and of course the elevated level is going to be part of the mountain, but how far out this way? Well, as you can see, I have some nice bridges here that enable this part of the track to pass under it, but I've decided that bridges aren't as important as tunnels, because I don't want to stop the mountain right here. Because if you stop it right here because of the track, everything is going to be cliff all the way around, and I want to have something a little more slopey. So I'm going to have to include this bridge area inside the mountain. So the mountain's going to come around this way and then come across here like this. So this will be mountain, and it will gradually get higher as it gets to here, and this will be the highest part of the mountain. So now that I've determined where the mountain's going to be, the first thing that I want to build are the tunnel portals, which will be the base of the tunnel itself. Using a ruler, I measured where the tracks are, coming all the way back to here, and I wrote down the measurements on this notepad. Then, using a piece of 1/2 inch insulating foam, I cut it out so that it fits right there. Alright, so I'm also going to do the same thing on the opposite side. I'm pretty much just going to show you this side and let you know that I'm doing the same thing on the other side. But this will sit here, and now I have to brace it so that it forms a firm foundation for our tunnel. The height on this is 8 inches from here to here, and then again with the 2 inches for the base that's under it gives me my total of 10 inches to fit in this 11.5 inch depression. Alright, from my scrap pile, I picked out some 1 inch pieces and cut them to 6 inches. The reason I have it at 6 inches and this is 8 here is eventually this is going to be cut off and the mountain will rise 2 inches here, so we won't have a big 8-inch face. And the face of the tunnels is going to be a concrete tunnel portal. But after cutting them off at 6 inches, I basically eyeballed it to cut these pieces, and they will go on the back like this. And you notice that I've cut these back over here at an angle to make sure nothing hangs over the edge of the layout. And I cut this one back over here because the track curves there, and we want to make sure that we don't run into anything. Now I'm going to attach these by using Crafter's Pick, the ultimate glue. It is a water-based glue that's very tacky, and it's excellent for gluing things that you want to give a little hole to. But I'm also going to use these 2-inch T-pins to make sure that they hold on. And because the T-pins will be holding them, then I can go ahead and set this up and glue the base down. Where is the base here? Yes, the base is over here. And I'll be able to glue it down. So I will take care of that and be right back. Alright, I'm on the back side now, showing you how I've secured the pieces and glued them to the tunnel portal face, and I've also glued it to the base of my layout. Bringing the camera over here, the one thing you need to remember over here is that the face needs to be perpendicular. That's why I put a couple of pins in. I put a pin in over here and a pin in over here, and that's what's actually going to hold it perpendicular while the glue dries. So I'm going to go do the same thing on the other side of the layout, then we'll come back and complete the tunnel portals. Because it's my intention to have access for motor vehicles up the side of the mountain, I've delineated a section of the elevated area that I'm going to cut back. That will give me room to put the road up the side of the mountain over here. So I will cut that away and then we will mask it. I have moved over to the other side of the layout because the light is better over here. Again, I went ahead and I measured the distance from here to here, and I cut this piece 8 inches high, measured where I wanted this to come through. You also might notice that it's angled back this way, and that's because the track is angled that way. Remember, all of this is going to be covered in the future, but for right now, this fits in there real nicely, and I'm going to glue it up against these bridges right here and up into here, and that will hold it nice and steady. And I will also do the same thing on the other side and be back. So I have my next tunnel facing put up on either side, and while that's drying, the next thing I want to work on is some basic facing around the elevated area, so we'll have something to work from, and we're going to build it up to the height of 8 inches, the same as this, and we're going to use the same material that I used to mask the side of this ramp going up on either side, and that is white foam core. This is white foam core. It comes in 20 by 30 inch sheets, The cheapest place to get them is the dollar store. They're $1.25 there. The paper on the cheaper ones is a lot thinner, so the board isn't stiff and sturdy. But we're going to take the paper off anyway, like this. Just peel it back, and we're going to be taking it off, and that way it's nice and flexible and will hold that. So I'm going to cut off 6" here, and I'm going to face this around. And I'm not sure whether I'm going to do this 6 or 8, probably 8 just to match that. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. I'm just going to cut my pieces, remove the paper from both sides of the foam board, then bend it. Let me show you a little bit about bending. Foam core will break, and we don't want it to break. So you bend it just a little bit at a time, like this. And it holds its bend, all right? And that's how you face a radius, and that will give us something to build against. Piece of facing around the elevated portion in the center of the mountain. I have also done the side between the two tunnel portals so that there's one smooth face there. So as you can see, I now have facing from one end of the layout to the other. I might note that you see the little push tacks in there. That's what's holding the 6" facing against the elevated area while the glue dries. I'll remove those push pins later when we get ready to put the road up the side. But before we do that, I want to cap this 4" area up here. So what I'm going to do is, beside that bent piece of track there, I'm going to put a couple of pieces of 1" pink insulation along the track, 4 inches high, and I'm also behind the 6" facing, the 4 inches that stick up above the elevated area. I'm going to put some upright posts to hold it steady, and then I'll have a platform for laying the top of the tunnel in this section cut out of foam core. So that's what I'll be working on now, and I'll be right back. So as you can see, I have placed 2 long braces down by the track, and up front there are 2 narrow posts, and now I have a place to rest the 6" top. But before you can put a top on, all of that area in between the pink and the white needs to be filled with crumpled newspaper to give it a little support and not rely on the foam core to give you the support you need. To form that radius up front, I have this piece that I cut off earlier, so I have that radius already scribed for me, and I can just trace it onto a piece of foam core. Or you can cut a piece to width. The space here happens to be 27 3/8 inches, which is less than the 30" length of a piece of foam board, a new piece. So we can just cut that, put it in, and then you can reach with the pencil underneath and scribe it, and then you can cut it, and then we'll be ready to put the top on there for the 4" level. Excuse me, the 6" level. I've stuffed this open area with paper. It's like 4 full sheets in there. Spread some glue on the top and cut this out to size. We'll just put it down. And I'll use some pins to hold it. Like that. I'll go ahead through here. There's no glue through here, but I'm going to go ahead and mask it with masking tape and just leave that tape there, and then later on we'll put the rock face and things over it. But pretty soon we'll have a tunnel up here. This is the top to the tunnel in the back, and we'll have a road coming up here, and then it'll be a little bit higher up here. We'll probably have a cut going through with the road leading out, and the road is our next step, and I will show you how to do that. Before I start on the road, there's one thing I wanted to do first, and that's to cover this section on the right and the other over there on the left side at the 4-inch level. Now, as you can see, there is a radius on one side, and of course we have to keep it flat over here on this side so that we can fold it up. So how do you cut a piece that that has a radius in it and still get it to fit? Well, let me show you. I have taken a piece of wax paper and I spread it across. I took it up to the edge over here and down the edge there to straightaway, and then I pinned it down so that it will stay in place, and then I just mark it along here. It takes it very easy. We'll just mark it all the way along like this, and I'll make a measurement as to where it stops here. Then I'll take that piece of wax paper, tape it to a piece of foam core, cut it out, and then I will have a perfect piece to fit in there. Now all I have to do is make a brace to hold it in place. So I've trimmed down the wax paper and taped it to a piece of white foam core with black paper on it, because that's what I have. I aligned the straight side on the straight edge on the foam core, and as you can see, the lines that I etched in with the pencil are clearly visible. So I will take my knife and cut that out and place it up against my tunnel facing, and then make whatever alterations I need to make to have a nice fit. Alright, as you can see, I have a nice close fit, and I just had to trim a little bit off the end, but that's nice. Now all I have to do is fix up a brace for it. I already have the brace up front. Remember the pieces that I put here to hold the tunnel portal up? Well, they're cut off at 6 inches. So now I'll put a piece across here, and it'll go underneath and come out over here, and that'll help brace this, and then another piece down here. So I will get those measurements and cut that piece. We'll glue it in at 6 inches and glue it down. So I've cut my brace and attached it. So now put our piece in, and our tunnel on this side is complete. The area up in top will turn into a mountain right after we finished building the road. When building a road up the side of a mountain, it's always easiest if you just have straight roads, because then you just cut a couple of triangles out of the foam insulation and cover them up, and you've got your road. But what if your road runs up around a mesa type area like this? How do you form a road that goes around? You can't cut out foam. Foam is straight. So let me show you how to do it with foam core. Alright, I've cut myself several pieces of this white foam core, and I've cut them to run up here and up to 6 inches. Each one is 3/16 of an inch thick. I have 10 of them, so that's 30/16, 15/8, or almost 2 inches, and that's wide enough for any 2-lane road in N scale. So I glued the back. You see the first pieces up. I glued the back and put these straight pins in. Put the straight pins in at a severe angle because that'll help them hold it. If you push it straight in, they can pull out. The other thing you need to do to help keep it in is you need to get a bend in it. Okay, like this. And this will help it stay conformed to the front of the mountain there. And right here towards the end, it's got a pretty sharp bend over there, so we need to have an especially sharp bend right here. Again, take it a little at a time because we don't want to break it. Oh, by the way, while I'm bending this, you notice that this is black, but you can see in the edge it's still white foam core. Black is all they had at the store when I went to pick it up, and the only drawback to black is that it's hard to see and cut on it, but it can be done. Okay, now you see we have it put up here. Now, what's important is to keep the points together. Keep the points at the front, that way we have the same right up. This means that the other end will become progressively shorter as we get farther away from the mountain because it will be a longer run. But we'll just put some glue on the back and pin it up to here until we're out to here, and then we'll have, I'll make a railroad crossing here, and then it will go up the side of the mountain. And once we get to the top, I'll show you what we do there. I finished gluing my triangles up, giving myself a nice road leading up to the top. But you can tell by looking at it that it's just a little bit uneven. That's because I'm not a machine. I have a heartbeat, and when I do fine cutting work, the heartbeat throws the hand off just a little bit. But I'm not worried about it because I have an easy way to fix it, and that is using paper mache. So we'll use the paper mache not only to even the road surface, but up at the top to make the transition from the road to this level area up here. And I will show you how to do that. You buy paper mache at any hobby store. It comes loose like this in a bag or in a compressed brick, which you break apart until it's loose like this to use it. It's shredded paper, finely shredded paper with white glue in it. You mix it according to instructions, which is basically 2 parts water to 1 part paper mache. When you have that real oatmeal or mashed potato like texture, you're ready to spread it. You need a couple of palette knives. These are for sale at hobby stores. I got these at Hobby Lobby for, I think I paid $4 each. They're probably $5 now. But they last a really long time, and this is what you'll use to spread them. Spread it with this and then find work with this. So I'll show you some paper mache ready to use, and we'll get started. Note 2 things. Number 1, I've protected my track up closest just in case I drop any on. I don't want to have to clean it off. You can see how you mix it so it really looks like mashed potatoes, at least the mashed potatoes I get. And you scoop it up and spread it down like that. Now here on this side we're only concerned with the top at the moment. And we'll continue to work this all the way up. By the way, you can also use paper mache. I can continue it across here and knock out some ballast on either side and run the paper mache across, and it'll form the base of a road crossing the railroad. but I will continue to run this up here like this, smoothing it out as I go. We'll run it all the way up to the top, and then the transition from the end of this road onto the top up here will get us a nice looking road up the mountain. So I'll be back. So I've got a nice smooth road now running up, and a transition at the top, and I'll bring it around the side, but you can see how it runs back in. Now we only have a narrow section between the mountain and the track here, so there's mostly going to be rock face there, but in this wider area that is left because I cut out that section of the elevated area, we can put a skirt, and that and the mountain top is what will complete our mountain. As you can see, I have the tunnel covered all the way, and in the back it's left open for easy access for cleaning the tracks, repairing the tracks, picking up derailed locomotives and rolling stock. So that is it for the building of the tunnel portals and the base. The next step will be with newspaper and plaster cloth to create the mountain. As you can see, I'm able to fold up my layout up against the wall to save space here in the garage, and that means I have everything correct with my tunnel base. So I'll open it up now and roll it down, set the front edge on the table I have sitting here. Please notice that since the last segment I have placed this back portion up. That's necessary to make sure that when we're putting the newspaper up, we don't get it extended past the end here, because we have no room to spare on the back part, because this rests flat against the base of this wall mount. The only place where we have a little play is in height above this. This is 8 inches above the sub base, and it's 10 inches from the very bottom of the layout where all the wiring is. For my next step, I want to cut down the front to just about the 4-inch level, and I'm going to cut that all the way around. If I had had a better plan, I would have left it at that to begin with. As a matter of fact, I probably would have made this 5 inches instead of 6. But I'm not going to redo it. I got in a hurry, and now I'm just going to have to be satisfied with what I have. But again, I'm going to cut this off and at an angle like this, bevel all the way around. The other side too. This will probably be cut down just a little bit here as we run up from the 6-inch level to the 8-inch level back here. The same over in here we'll lay down, and it'll come from the 6-inch level and run up to that, and do that on both sides. So after I get that cut, I'll show you how we use newspaper and plaster cloth to finish our mountain. Materials I'm using, this is a Sunday Denver Post, and I've got my T-pins and my 1-inch masking tape. And all there is to it. Rolling up the paper. Fitting it in like that, and holding it down. Because remember, we can't go too high. So, it's down like this, keeping it low here and higher in the back. And And I'll put a piece of tape right there and run it over the back. And it stays in place. So I will continue to do that as I go across. And remember, it's okay, we're going to be putting plaster cloth over this and that'll push it down a little. But it's okay if we go up a little, because remember, I have a little over an inch to play with before I run into my back wall. But I will continue to place these. You can also use T-pins to hold things down in the corners, like back here. Just remember that when you use a T-pin to hold anything down here, it's going to be covered with plaster cloth, and you'll say goodbye to it. You'll never see it again. So I will continue to put my paper up here, and I'll hold it down with masking tape. When we get that complete, we can begin with the plaster cloth, which will shape our mountain. This is a roll of plaster cloth. I've bought a 12-inch roll. They come in shorter sizes, but I have this because I have this 12-inch wide pan. This is a little plastic pan I got at the dollar store. I think I got 2 of them. And I have about 3/4 of an inch of water in it. And I've cut these pieces out off the roll so that they fit in there. One important thing that you need to note is there are 2 different sides on this. I don't know if it shows up on the camera, but this is the top side. It's the one that's kind of rounded. It has the most plaster on it. And the outside of the roll is the back side. This is the down side. You always want to put it on with this side up. The reason being, you'll need to, when it's wet, you'll need to massage the plaster until you get it covering all of the holes in the cloth. So just use any pair of scissors, cut it off, pieces you're going to need, lay them here, and now we're ready to place the plaster cloth on our newspaper. As you can see, I've got the newspaper taped all along the back ridge to the height I want. I've also protected my ballasting and track with newspaper. So now I will begin applying the plaster cloth. Remember, keeping the top side up. Just put it in the water. Then place it up. And then massage the plaster around until it fills all of the holes in the cloth. This will give us a thin sheet of plaster over the paper without adding much weight. Okay? Keep my fingers wet a little bit as the plaster sets up. Alright. And get another sheet. That. And continue across, lapping it over. Now I usually double up. Once I get this area across to there, I'll come back over the same area with 2 sheets of plaster cloth. Okay? So that's all there is to it. I will continue to cover all of the paper with the plaster cloth, and once I get across, before I leave this area and go to the other side, I'll come back and put a double layer on, and you see how it's forming irregular mountainous forms. And once we get that done, I'll show you the next step. The plaster cloth hardens fairly quickly. You'll also notice that when you go back to put the second coat of the plaster cloth on, it's much easier to massage the plaster into all of the holes in the cloth, because you have a little stiffer base to work against than you did when on the first layer, when you're just pushing against crumpled newspaper. As you can see, it's nice and irregular. I have a couple of high spots there. I believe they're within my inch and a half of play, but if they aren't, it's just plaster over newspaper. I can hit it and knock it down. You can see I put a couple of sheets of foam core with the black paper on it. This is to keep light from coming in the back of the tunnel. As you look into your tunnels, any place you see pink or white, you need to paint that black. I have decided to make a couple of additions. As you can see, I've put in a tunnel portal over here, just made with 3 layers of foam core. I have a clinic on making tunnel portals if you'd like to view that for further instructions. I also have some barriers up here, and in this area I'm going to put some newspaper and plaster cloth to bring the mountain out a little bit. You can also see that I have finished my railroad crossing. I do have a clinic on railroad crossings if you'd like to check that out. And using paper mache, I've made a skirt around the road that goes up the mountain. On the other side, I have brought the tunnel portal out a little farther, and I'm going to use crumpled newspaper and plaster cloth to bring the mountain down a little bit farther. I've also cut off a bit of my siding here to make room for this. I think it will give a more natural appearance to the mountain and not look so much like it was just chopped off where the tunnel portals are. Next, I will focus my attention on the top of the mountain. I still have a road to complete, and I need to paint the mountain area an earth undercoat. Alright, I have my paper ready for the plaster cloth, and I think I'll make cut smaller sheets of the plaster cloth to give me a little more control. And over here, where I'm going to be putting it down close to this elevated portion of track, I'll probably just come close and then use some actual plaster mix that I can control better with a palette knife to get in there. So I will finish this section of the mountain and then paint the top. The paints I'm going to use are Woodland Scenics undercoat paints. The large bottle is the earth undercoat, which makes a fine base for doing ground cover. The asphalt color is a grayish black for asphalt. The black paint can be used to darken other paints. I'm today going to use it to blacken the area inside the tunnels. And on the end I have a concrete colored paint which works very well painting on foam core to make it look like concrete. I finished with the base painting. I've gotten everything except the skirt on the road up the mountainside. That's rather thick paper mache, and it hasn't dried yet. You want it completely dry when you apply the paint. So my next step is to continue with the tunnel portals. They're all going to be concrete, like the one on the right there that I've already completed. I will do that and show you the results. I finished my tunnel portals, and I've etched in the expansion joints and painted them a concrete color. You can see over here I have a piece of molded rock face that I've attached above the tunnel portal here. That's all one piece and painted. I believe on the upper area here on the side, instead of doing that in rock face, I'm going to make that all one big piece of concrete. All I need to do are attach some form ridges and etch in my expansion joints, and it will be a believable wall of concrete holding back the mountain from the road. On the other side, I have completed the tunnel portals here. This particular shear wall will probably be blasted rock face. And over here, I've got the tunnel portals finished here, all painted and expansion joints etched. Concrete walls and tunnel portals are the easiest to do, and I'm trying to get this done in a hurry. So it looks like we have our mountain essentially completed. I hope you've learned something from this tutorial. Again, I do have tutorials on how to do ground cover. Just look for simple dirt roads and see how to do ground cover. I have them on tunnel portals cheap and easy, and that will give you a good idea of how to make your own tunnel portals. There's also one on wood tunnel portals, how to make your own from scratch. It's really easy. All you need is the time. So again, thanks for your attention. I hope you learned something.